Hello, Namaste. I, Dr. M.P. Sharma from the Department of Physiology and Biochemistry, Faculty of Homeopathy Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University. My today's digital one, digital version 2.0 session topic is importance of physiology in homeopathy. Importance of physiology in homeopathy. As we know, the physiology allied subject, but how we will study under the homeopathy also. So because of the importance of the physiology in our pathy. So homeopathy is a scientific system, study of anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry are very essential to understand the person coming before a homeopath for the treatment, as well as the student who wanted to become a doctor of homeopathy. So that is why we can say it is a scientific system which is having the importance in our homeopathy. Not only that, BHMS students have to study social and preventive medicine as that means PSM, pathology and bacteriology, FMT, even if they don't perform autopsy, surgery, even if they don't perform it, obstetrics and gynecology, even if they do not conduct labor, and even allopathic pharmacology. So it is a better to understand for the BHMS students. Also, it was postulated that these enlivening or awakening forces are an equal and autopsy reaction to excretory functions of the kidney. Furthermore, it appears that the sodium iron which play a relatively minor role in the plant kingdom. It assumes very much greater importance in the animal kingdom through its role in the awakening processes. Those who framed the syllabus for these courses did so with a clear reason. In some recent discussion at the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital, the idea was put forward that the kidneys and adrenal glands acting in concern provide the mechanism of the awakening forces to manifest in the physical body. And these awakening forces are considered as a function of the astral body by the anthroposophical school. We know the example that the sodium ion plays an important role in neurological function and neuromuscular transmission as well as cardiovascular function. The adrenal and kidneys are responsible for the maintenance of the electrolytes and acid-base balance, and therefore should be of great importance in the function of the astral as well as the vegetative or etheric functions. Potassium is the predominant cation of vegetative function, hence its preponderance in the plant kingdom and intracellularly in the animal kingdom. If one studies the homeopathic materia medica critically, it becomes clear that the idea that homeopathic prescribing is based solidly on toxicological studies or proving is inaccurate. It appears that many prescribing indications are based on the observation at that a given remedy seems to benefit patients with a sometimes ill-defined group of symptoms and characteristics which are given pride of place as mental and general symptoms. It seems likely, therefore, that many of these symptoms are not toxicological phenomena but reflection of underlying pathophysiological disorders which empirical improve when a particular remedy or group of remedies is given. Furthermore, since the higher potency do not apparently, indeed, it is common prescribing practice to give the higher potencies on constitutional ground and the lower potency for local symptoms with gross organic changes. It was therefore felt worthwhile to look at adrenal physiology and pathology in the light of some of these ideas and see if there is any possible relationship between the non-diurnal variations of adrenal function and various homeopathic remedies, particularly with regard to time aggravation. The remedies considered here are the Proteus group, which includes natrum mure, conium mat, cuprum mat, ignatia, and sickle core, chamomilla. The Bacillus number 7 group, which is mainly composed of the Kali salts in conjunction with one of the halogen, and finally Cactus Z. Before considering these remedies, a brief outline of adrenal physiology and pathological syndrome may be helpful. Number 1, intermediary metabolism, proteins, catabolism, hepatic glycogenesis, and glucogenesis are all increased with the result that the blood glucose rise, and there is an in addition a peripheral insulin effect. Some of these actions as well as other corticoid effects are mediated via increased synthesis of RNA, ribose nucleic acid, with a resultant increase in the formation of various enzymes. Now, second, adrenal medullary physiology. The adrenal medulla is in effect a sympathetic ganglion in which the postganglionic neurons have lost their action and become secretory. Adrenalines is the major catecholamines excreted. Noradrenaline is also excreted, but in much smaller quantities. And most of the circulating noradrenaline is secreted by sympathetic nerve ending. The medical tradition of the homeopathy has been separated from that the conventional science for a long time. Conventional scientific wisdom dictates that homeopathy should have no effect above placebo, but experiments on ultra high dilution of solute together with some clinical data suggest the intriguing possibility that it might do in some circumstances. Today an osmotic process between discipline previous seen as in conflict is facilitated. Because over the last few decades, homeopathy has initiated the method of the current medical science and the substantial number of the experimental studies at molecular, cellular, and clinical level are available. One area of dialogue and common progress is that the inflammation and immunity, probably because these are closely related to the traditional vital force of the body's self-healing power. In a series of papers, we review the historical origins of homeopathy, the laboratory and animal models related to the field of the immunopharmacology, the clinical evidence in favor, against, and against the use of the homeopathy in the inflammatory disease and hypothesis regarding its action mechanism. Finally, we will enlighten the specific characteristics of the homeopathic approach, which places a great emphasis on identifying a cure for the whole organism. The main principle of homeopathy, a unique scientific system of medicine established by Samuel Hahnemann 2 centuries ago, is that of the similarity, which means let like be cured by like. In other words, when the substance is capable of inducing a series of the symptoms in a healthy living system, low doses of the same substances can cure these symptoms under the certain circumstances. Similia similibus curantur. And during this period, medicine evolved as never before, and homeopathic theories and pharmacopoeias have also been scientifically investigated, albeit slowly, with considerably deals in a comparison with those the conversation medicine. However, the fundamental nucleus of homeopathy has been little discussed. Similarly, is frequency considered unscientifically because the statement of the Hahnemann or other homeopaths are not supported by documentary proof. The various principles of the similarly Hahnemann as a scientist, Hahnemann homeopaths, various homeopathic innovation such as electrohomeopathy and various type of the alternative therapy, including herbal medicines have been indescribably confused, and this has led to the conclusion being down on the basis of summary subjective judgments unless these sources of the confusion are constantly and completely acknowledged and corrected. Little progress can be made in clarifying the concept of the homeopathy or the principle of the similarity. So, I hope you will satisfy with this my lesson, digital version 2.0. My topic was importance of physiology in homeopathy. If you have any questions, you please put or mention in the comment box so that we can have a problem solving live session for your queries will resolve. Thank you. Thank you to all for attending.